horrendous. Anyways, let's look into it. So as I said, on Monday, there's going to be a hearing. The judge just filed a document in the docket saying that both parties should prepare a maximum of 2 pages for him to read of their arguments before this hearing in New York City on Monday. It's funny to read because he's obviously really tired of all this mess back and forth between these parties. So he emphasized in this letter that they can only write 2 pages and no footnotes are allowed. And it has to be single-spaced and limited to listing cases the judge should review. So this hearing is not...
The settlement was supposed to end it. The cameras moved on. The headlines faded. But inside a New York courtroom, the real battle was just getting started. And the judge had already seen enough. Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni. One of the most explosive Hollywood lawsuits in recent memory. Sexual harassment allegations, a PR assassination campaign, a director publicly destroyed, and a settlement that left more questions than answers. Most people thought closing arguments meant closing the chapter. They were wrong. Because while the ink was barely dry on that settlement, a new filing landed in the docket. And this one? It could cost the Baldoni camp far more than their reputation. Here's what nobody is telling you. Blake Lively is not done. She is going after attorney's fees. Fees racked up fighting a counter-lawsuit filed by what's being called the Wayfarer parties against Blake, Ryan Reynolds, and publicist Leslie Sloan. And she is not just asking for reimbursement. She is invoking California's brand new law, Section 47.1, a MeToo statute specifically designed to protect victims.
Attorney's fees covered because there's a new law in California called 47.1, which is basically this MeToo law that I've talked a lot about here on my channel. And now the judge is put in a position where he actually has to rule on this. And this is a new law, so he doesn't want to make any mistakes here. So he's basically asking both parties here to give him the legal arguments on why this law should be used in this case, and also who has the burden of proving this. Is it up to Blake Lively's team to prove that this law should be applicable, or is it up to Baldoni's team to show that this shouldn't be applicable? So that's what they have to argue on these 2 pages that he's going to read before Monday. I don't think any ruling is going to happen on Monday, but it's going to be interesting to see how both parties here
who speak out from being financially punished for doing so. Triple damages, punitive damages, the full arsenal. On Monday, both legal teams are walking into a New York City courtroom with 30 minutes each and exactly 2 pages to argue their case. 2 pages, no footnotes, single-spaced. The judge made that crystal clear. He is tired, he is watching, and he is not in the mood for theatrics. But here's the part that should make your jaw drop. This is not just about Blake Lively's money. This hearing could set legal precedent for every future case where a victim is retaliated against for speaking up. Lawyers across the country are watching this case right now. Because whoever wins this argument about the burden of proof, does Blake's team have to prove the law applies? Or does Baldoni's team have to prove it? Doesn't that answer reshapes the landscape of MeToo litigation for years to come?
Going to argue this. As I said in my episode yesterday, referring to Eumonia Doig's expose of Ryan Reynolds and how he wanted to be shielded by this MeToo law. I hope the judge actually read that article, because all of these things that is happening right now in this case will be used in future cases for other people who are involved in similar cases when they speak up and they feel that they've been retaliated against. So I'm sure that a lot of lawyers are paying a lot of attention to what's happening right now. And I can assure you, if Blake Lively gets a single cent out of the Wayfarer parties for covering these attorney's fees, you know, she's also asking for triple damages and punitive damages just to like make it sound more dramatic. I doubt she's going to get any of that. But if she gets as much as a single cent, she is going to...
And while the legal machinery grinds forward, Blake's PR machine never stopped. Days after the settlement, Blake posted an Instagram story. Ryan Reynolds, white tank top, plate of cookies, arms zoomed in, song playing, yummy. The caption? delicious. Within hours, both People magazine and Page Six had nearly identical articles. Same structure, same quotes, same wording. Even the sentence order matched. One journalist does not think exactly like another.
So I assume what happened here is that Leslie Sloan, Blake Lively's publicist, sent an already done article to these magazines, and then they just rewrote a couple of things here and there to make it seem authentic. Because when you look at the wording and exactly how the two different articles are laid out word by word, this is not a coincidence. Okay, so People magazine had this headline saying Blake Lively shares yummy thirst trap photos of husband Ryan Reynolds. Page Six had this headline: Blake Lively thirsts over husband Ryan Reynolds' bulging biceps in flirty snap. Basically saying the exact same thing with using the word thirst and thirsty, both of them. And then the beginning of these articles is
Leslie Sloan, Blake's publicist. The same woman named in the counter lawsuit. The same woman who, according to filings, helped coordinate the PR strategy during the entire campaign. The media didn't investigate the story. They published the story they were handed. And they did it without mentioning the lawsuit once. People magazine skipped it entirely. Page Six at least acknowledged 10 of Blake's 13 claims were dismissed by the judge.
Then it's very obvious that People magazine is the direct mouthpiece of Blake and Ryan, because they just skip the whole thing about this legal battle. They don't mention it at all. They just jump to the fact that Lively's posts come just weeks after she appeared at the Met Gala on May 4th, where the year's theme was costume art. Like, that has nothing to do with whatever they're saying in this article and the headline. While Page Six, who's been much more balanced in this reporting to begin with, says that Lively and Reynolds have been married since September 2012. They share 4 children together: daughter James, 11, Ines, 9, Bedin, 6, and son Olin, 3. That exact same sentence comes a little further down in the People magazine article. And they are saying here that Reynolds stood by his wife throughout her lengthy court battle with Her It Ends With Us director and co-star Justin Baldoni, which they settled earlier this month.
But both outlets still ran the same narrative. Happy marriage, hot husband, everything is fine. Meanwhile, inside that same courthouse, nothing is fine. Now, add this. Tom Hardy fired from Mobland over creative differences, then suddenly not fired.
According to Variety today, he is not fired after all, and they're trying to work things out with him. I don't know if the reason for that is because it was so much backlash online. People seem to really love Tom Hardy, and that is also the reason why there's been a lot of conspiracy theories out there trying to blame other people for Tom Hardy being fired. One of them being Helen Mirren. And that makes me actually pretty angry. Helen Mirren had nothing to do with Tom Hardy being fired, which he is not anymore. And I have to say that reading this article, I'll mention some of the things that they talk about here, makes me think about, what if Tom Hardy was a woman? Would people react?
Helen Mirren accused online of orchestrating his removal because of political disagreements over Israel and Palestine. Conspiracy theories spreading fast.
And it's so insane that people started blaming Helen Mirren's political views on why Tom Hardy was fired. These conspiracy theories gets legs really fast, and then she received a lot of hate online. I don't know if she had closed off her comments on Instagram already or if that's something she just did, but I went into her Instagram this morning to check it out, and she has comments limited. I also noticed when I was on her Instagram that she posted a photo of Tom Hardy back in December. Things I love. Christmas for obvious reasons, Tom Hardy for his brilliance on screen, his dedication off screen, his good heart, and especially the Hardy hugs I get when on set with him, which is not nearly enough in my opinion. Does that sound like someone who hates Tom Hardy and wanted to get him fired? This is just 6 months ago, and they already worked on 2.
Helen Mirren's Instagram comments quietly limited. And yet the Variety reporting tells a completely different story. Sources saying there was no political friction, no personal feud, just an actor who kept everyone waiting and a production company that finally hit its limit. Guy Ritchie may be the one who holds it together. Or maybe this is already done. Brad Pitt is being sued by a penis cream company over a brand name that sounds too similar to his skincare line. No, that sentence is not a typo. Back to Blake. That attorney's fee hearing on Monday is not just a formality. If she wins even 1 cent, her team will declare total victory in every outlet that will listen.
To spin this in the media, to say she won and this is all she ever wanted to prove, and the whole drill. This whole shenanigan with these attorney's fees that she's claiming is not about the money. It is all about the last attempt to portray Blake Lively as a winner. Anyways, let's look into these.
They will spin it, they will package it, they will sell it. Because that is the machine. That is how it has always worked. But the real question nobody is asking, when a settlement happens behind closed doors, when evidence goes sealed, when filings get buried, who actually decides what the public gets to know? If this industry protects its own, why does the judge keep asking for more time? Drop your thoughts below. And if you want the receipts before the rest of the internet catches up, subscribe to Celebzino right now.